Welcome to today's Explainer. We're putting on our independent business services research analyst hats to look at a pretty critical piece of any new venture or rebranding effort, logo design. Specifically, we're diving into a modern logo design service offered by an agency called Illustra Sol over on the Fiverr Pro platform. We're going to break down their offering, crunch the data, and give you a totally objective, evidence-based business review to help you figure out if this service is the right operational fit for your company.
To figure out if this service actually makes sense for your business, we're going to quickly break this down into 6 key areas: the core offering, business benefits, credibility, ROI, the risks, and finally, our objective verdict.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the overview and core offering.
So, what's the baseline cost here? The entry-level price for their basic logo design package sits at a super accessible $45. Now, if you're a corporate decision-maker needing a more integrated ongoing relationship, they do offer a $70 an hour rate for flexible projects. But, for most startups and SMBs, that $45 entry point is really the main attraction.
And honestly, for just $45, the deliverables are actually incredibly substantial. You aren't just getting a basic image file. You get vector and source files, which, as we know, are absolutely crucial if you ever want to scale your logo onto a billboard or some merch later on. Plus, you get 3D mockups, stationery designs, and a social media kit. Basically, you're getting immediately usable brand assets right out of the gate, all delivered with a highly aggressive one-day turnaround.
Moving right along to Section 2, the features and business benefits.
When you look at the features, it's pretty clear Illustra Sol wants to be seen as a serious B2B partner, not just a casual weekend freelancer. They offer 24/7 customer support, which is a total lifesaver if your team is running across different time zones. You get unlimited revisions to make sure you aren't stuck with a design that doesn't fit your vision. And, perhaps most importantly from a legal standpoint, they explicitly state that complete copyrights are transferred to you upon completion. They even throw in a free initial consultation so everyone is perfectly aligned before the clock starts ticking.
Now for Section 3, credibility and trust signals. Let's look at their reputation. In B2B, trust is everything, right? And the scale of this operation is pretty wild. We aren't talking about a solo freelancer working out of a coffee shop here. This is a fully vetted Fiverr Pro agency based in Canada with 47 employees. And despite being that large, they actually maintain an average response time of just 1 hour. That Fiverr Pro badge is a really big deal too. It means they've been handpicked and vetted by Fiverr's internal team, which takes a ton of the risk out of the equation for corporate buyers.
And their portfolio totally backs this up. We're looking at verified partnerships with massive international brands across completely different sectors, from consumer tech giants like DJI, to retail behemoths like the Home Depot, right through to fast food with Mr. Beast Burger and real estate with Century 21. If compliance and marketing teams at that level trust them, that is a massive green light for their operational capability. On top of that, looking at their specific gig rating, they maintain a highly impressive 4.9 out of 5. But here's the kicker. That score is aggregated from over 1,930 verified client reviews. Maintaining a 4.9 average across nearly 2,000 transactions, that proves some serious, highly consistent output.
And the qualitative feedback perfectly matches the data. Take this 5-star review from a user named Roby_G. They highlighted the amazing speed and how they nailed the look with very few revisions. As an operations manager or startup founder, you know time is money. A vendor who gets the brief right the first time without endless back and forth, that is literally worth its weight in gold.
Which brings us to Section 4, ROI and market position. So what's the actual return on investment here? Their whole value proposition is really about bridging a massive gap in the market. Historically, businesses had to choose between incredibly expensive traditional branding firms or taking a gamble on cheap, unvetted solo freelancers. Getting access to a 47-person, pro-vetted agency structure for just a $45 entry price, that represents exceptional cost efficiency for any startup or SMB.
But let's keep our analyst hats on for a second. It really does beg an important question. Can a budget-friendly $45 gig actually replace a high-touch, traditional branding agency that might charge thousands?
To answer that, let's dive into Section 5, the risks, limitations, and potential hidden costs.
For the sake of radical transparency, we have to point out a clear limitation here. The seller explicitly recommends their standard and premium packages if you want results that match their top-tier portfolio. But, and this is a big but, the exact pricing and specific deliverables for those higher tiers are completely missing from our source material. This means that $45 might just be the absolute floor, not your realistic average spend.
So, managing scope creep is absolutely crucial. Yes, the basic package gives you unlimited revisions, but you really need to read the fine print. That's only on the one initial concept they provide. If you completely hate that first concept, additional ones will cost you $20 each. Plus, if your brand identity needs a custom mascot, that falls completely outside their standard minimalist style and is going to run you an extra $100 to $500. So if you don't have a crystal clear vision up front, that $45 budget is going to multiply really fast.
All right, let's wrap this up with Section 6, our final objective assessment.
Putting it all together, Illustra Sol presents a genuinely compelling offer. The strengths are fantastic. They're pro-vetted, highly rated by almost 2,000 clients, capable of 24-hour delivery, and you get extensive professional-grade file formats. But you absolutely have to manage the weaknesses. You're dealing with opaque pricing on their higher tiers, the very real risk of scope creep with add-ons like extra concepts or mascots, and the bottleneck of your unlimited revisions being tied to just a single design concept.
So before you hit hire, ask yourself one final thing about your operational needs. If you know exactly what you want and just need a clean, modern vector asset delivered quickly, this is a phenomenal low-risk ROI. But if you need a deep, exploratory branding overhaul, you better be prepared to spend a lot more. Which leaves us with this final thought to chew on. In today's digital economy, is the era of the $10,000 corporate branding agency officially over? Or at the end of the day, do you always just get exactly what you pay for? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and we'll see you next time.